Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome to Jillibean Soup. Today I'm here to share a shaker layout with you using the Shape Shaker inserts. So let's get started. I've gone ahead and grabbed two different size Shape Shaker inserts. You can see here the large and the small circle. And on my silhouette, I have cut a circle just large enough to fit each of those in. I did plan in my silhouette where the shaker insert was going to go and then cut the circle accordingly, as you can see here. I think the smaller one was 1.75 and the larger was 2.25. That way it actually worked out quite nicely. The shaker insert will fit just nicely into each of those circles. And now I'm going to add a whole lot of dimensional adhesive to the back of that so I can create a base for my page. Because the shaker inserts are 3D basically, I wanted to have a little bit of height so that the shaker didn't really chunk up above the base of my layout. So adding a little bit of a buffer with that dimensional adhesive will really help. Now I've also die cut some circles and into flowers, as you can see here, and those are going to go around each of my shaker inserts. That's just to decorate my page essentially. These are from Jillibean Soup from the Silhouette store, and I've just die cut one from each of the pattern papers here in one of my favorite collections, Farmhouse Stew. So I've done that kind of coral grid as well as the yellow pattern paper. And now I've gone ahead and added some stitching around the inside of edge of that circle, and I'm adding foam adhesive underneath each of the little petals on the flowers just to add a little bit of dimension to the page. Again, the shape shakers the inserts are really going to stick up a bit, so I'm kind of trying to disguise that part by adding these flowers in around each of the two shaker inserts. So having the flowers kind of be dimensional as well will kind of help so they don't stand out quite as much as they might normally have. So now I'm just going to get ready to add these two photos I have chosen for my layout. I've decided to go ahead and just back these with some of this really great wood grain. This is also from Farmhouse Stew, and so I'm just going to add that to the back of my photos and then add the photos onto my page. Now you'll notice I haven't put the white cardstock down yet onto my page to create the layout. I'm going to do that in a few minutes. You'll see why. So I just want to get as much of it decorated on there before I make it into a shaker layout. So I'm going to add one more flower here. I realize there's a bit of a gap in this because I don't have a half a shaker insert. So I'm just going to add a punch circle here from my scraps. And then I'm going to stick that down with a glue dot just to make sure that that all sticks really nicely. And kind of just slightly overlap part of my photo. I'm going to get my photos down. I'm going to make sure all my flowers are down properly. I really like to use foam adhesive because it's really sticky. When I'm not, my adhesive that I'm using right now is not super sticky, so that's why I'm using some glue dot adhesive just to get those in place. I'll add this last little flower, and then I've decided that although I have dimension already onto these flowers in between each of the petals, I really want to just a tiny little bit in behind each of them again, just to add that lift, that 3 dimension, which will really soften up the shape shakers that are on the page. So just a little bit more here, and I'll trim off my excess paper that I have, and then get ready for the inside of the flower. So they're fine on their own. Once I add the shaker bits inside, they'll be great. But I thought it's still going to have an open brown area, so I don't want to show any of that. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little circle and then erase that. And I'm going to do some stamping in the inside of my circles. So I'm going to grab two of my favorite Jillibean Soup stamp sets. These are both coordinating that go with shape shaker cards. One here is for the jar, the other is for the coffee cup, but I really like the floral and the leafy kind of designs on each of these stamp sets, so I'm going to use those with some green ink and just add some stamped leaves inside of those circle areas. Just along the top, I'm going to have the bottom where the shaker parts will fill in, so I just want to kind of fill in the top part a little bit just so that brown craft cardstock doesn't always stick through. And I'm using a second leaf shape here with a lighter green ink, and I'm just stamping that inside there. So that's kind of how it will look later on. I just lined my flowers back up over top, and you can see kind of where that's going to fill in. All right, so I got a couple red flowers as well, just to add a little bit more color into that shaker circle before I get everything filled in. These are my two favorite stamp sets. I highly recommend you get them. They're really, really great. And so now I'm just going to erase my circle line here from where I had planned to do the stamping, and then I'm going to take all my dimensional adhesive off. It looks like quite a bit, but I really want to make sure that the whole layout is flat and not really bumpy. And so there's a bit of a trick to getting this to line up properly. And the one thing, I'm lucky, I have this mat here by Close to My Heart that has all these lines along the top with measurements. So I've kind of measured where my white cardstock is going to be. It's going to be a 1/2 inch from each edge. So now I know I just need to fill in my shaker insert with my toppings. I have different seed beads and sequins, and so I'm going to add that into the middle, and I'm going to line the paper up onto my mat and then just add my background craft cardstock to the back, and you can see how the shaker works. Now I realized the minute that I did that I forgot one really important step that you need to do with the shape shaker inserts. And so yes, I'm going to tragically rip this front part apart and show you how I fixed my problem. So I'm going to kind of lift a little bit and then flip it over to keep all my items inside the shaker insert. And what I forgot to do is the shape shaker inserts have this really great sticky adhesive. And what that does is that's going to stick to the back of our, in this case, craft cardstock, and it's going to keep that shaker insert in place. So I forgot to do that, and had I not taken that off, all that stuff would have came out later on. So really important that you don't do what I do and you actually remove that in the first place. And as you can see, because I lined up it on my mat, I just put the back cardstock on top, and it lined up nice and perfect, and I still have my circles where they're supposed to be. So I'm just going to create a few leaves to go in and around my flowers here, just to kind of, again, demystify the fact that those are actually circle shakers inside the layout. So I'm just going to add some dimension, use my circle punch to make some leaves, and then I'm going to add foam behind some of the leaves just to kind of pop them up as they're kind of hanging over top of each other. And then I'm going to glue dot those in place just so they're really super sticky and they don't move either. And so it's just a little bit of fiddling around with where you want to place those on your layout. I like to have kind of a little bit scattered across the middle here, so I'm going to add this little tiny bit of a leaf here into the far right corner and get those other ones down here with glue dots. And I thought about adding another one here, but I ended up just saying forget it. So now I need to add a title, and just to finish off my page, because there's quite a bit going on here, I don't want it to be super busy title, but I really love these soup label stickers. I love this font here. It has some really great words, and at first I thought I would use those to make stems for each of the flowers, but quickly realized that wasn't going to work. I did like the hello along the top of the flower, but I wasn't sure how I would translate that into a complete title on the bottom of my page. So I was going to write something different, and I quickly changed my mind as I was going through the process and realized, nope, that's not going to really work for the way I think it's going to go. I wanted to use these alpha bean stickers. I really love the fact that the top is patterned and the bottom isn't. But again, they were almost too small for the area I had left over. So I grabbed these really large, super fun letters from the Farmhouse Stew collection, die cuts. And so I'm just going to add some foam adhesive again to the back of some of them, and then use that to make my title. I love the different really simple font, but the different colors and pattern that are on each of the letters. So it's kind of fun. It's a little difficult to dig through sometimes because there's only almost too many choices. So I really wanted to vary up the color and the pattern for mine. You could definitely pick ones that were all similar, all pink or all blue, but I wanted to have a variety to kind of tie a lot of the colors in the rest of my layout. So I'm just going to grab those and write the word beauty here down on the bottom of my page. So I'm just cutting some of my adhesive in half and then adding that in behind to create kind of my popped title. And some of the letters I did leave just plain adhesive, so they're not popped up. It's just kind of like a little bit of a layering thing. So some will overlap each other, and that's where I've used more of that dimensional adhesive. And then some are going to go right up over my photo. So I'll add a dimensional adhesive to the bottom and just leave my glue runner, tape runner along the top. So I'm going to get the word beauty down, and then I'm going to add that word hello we saw earlier right here, just along the top of that. And there's so many fun stickers and little bits, so I wanted to add this heart in here, so I decided to add it down near the bottom of the title. And I think that's pretty much, for the most part, what I did to this page. I really left things pretty simple. I added the date here with my date stamp, and the rest of it is all the fun shaker bits. So take a look up close at how those shakers turned out. Super fun, super easy, and filling them in with those really pretty leaf stamps are fun. Definitely this is something I think I would do again. I hope you guys will give this a try too. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again on the blog.